Women are complicated, and that's okay. That's allowed to be. You know what I mean? Like, just think about what they do. You know what I mean? That's complex. Like, they grow an entire human being inside of their bodies, assuming that's their choice and that's what they want and all that stuff. And they have, they make the babies. They're fucking complicated as all hell, like inside and out, personality-wise and body-wise. And, my dad once gave me this advice. I love my dad with all my heart. I know maybe I bashed him a bit in a couple of these videos, but, don't get me wrong. I love my dad. He's a really good guy. But, he once gave me the best advice I've ever fucking heard, which is, don't ever try to figure out women, son. You'll never figure them out. And that's the truth. I'm not going to try to figure them out. I'm just going to tell you, women are extremely complicated. Don't waste your time trying to figure them out, but at the same time, spend some time trying to make them happy. You know what I mean? If you're in a relationship with one and you enjoy that relationship, spend some time trying to make her happy. You know what I mean? Like, you only get one life. If you enjoy being with her, you should do your best to make her enjoy being with you, you know what I mean? Make it like a mutual, respectful kind of relationship, 50-50, right? It's always 50-50, every relationship, we're beyond the days where it's like, hey, do the dishes, cook and clean, damn it. You know what I mean? Like, we're beyond those days now. That shit, that's gone. That's after suffrage and all that stuff, like women are extremely complicated, and they are not objects, they're not possessions, and they're people. You know what I mean? Okay, that sounds really, I'm not a misogynist, we're all equal, but what is bringing this thought to my attention is how complicated my baby mothers can choose to be when it comes to our co-parenting relationship. Yesterday, for example, I asked Barbara to co-parent with me again, and of course the answer is always no answer, basically. It's she does this thing, which is totally complicated, by the way. She does this thing where it's he never sees his son. You know what I mean? She kind of does that to other people, and then at the same time, I'm like, hey, can I have my son today? And then she'll kind of turn around and be like, you can go through a fucking lawyer if you want to see your son. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. And what is really complicated about that is she's really pissed off about the fact that her mother abandoned her for some complicated reason. Barbara's mother abandoned her, right? And that kind of really affects the way Barbara sees the world, and that makes Barbara more complicated. Like I said, women are just complicated in general, but and what's coming from that though is I shouldn't have to go through courts in order to see my son that I made 50-50 with her. You know what I mean? As far as that goes, we should be able to co-parent together as friends, if not family, right? You know what I mean? Obviously we can be a family today. The way Barbara was I'll always want my family together. It's complicated, you know what I mean? The way she's I'll always want my family together, and then she abandoned our family, and I don't know what she blames it on, you know what I mean? We had one argument and I accidentally called her fat or something like that, and then she's hung on to that forever, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. I'm fat too, everybody's fat, you know what I mean? It's just it's a sensitive subject for her and all that stuff. It's complicated, right? Why can't she forgive me for whatever she thinks that I did? You know what I mean? It's complicated. It's all tied in with her mother abandoning her, which is complicated. Her mother abandoning her, not being around her life, that's complicated, right? Women are complicated. And then yesterday, what really triggered this thought today though is yesterday I asked Barbara to co-parent with me again, and of course she's not getting back to me because that's what she does, I guess. You know what I mean? For Drayton, she makes me her mother, which is complicated as well. You know what I mean? Women are complicated, man. But it's what brought this up though is I was discussing co-parenting with the baby mother that I do co-parent with, and she brought up the fact that her son might not need a father, and I just voiced my opinion, which is that every son needs their father, and like, you know what I mean? Like, guys aren't complicated. That's the truth. That's how I feel about life. Like, I love my dad with all my heart, and like, I can't imagine the world without having my dad there when I was growing up. So it's like, I always kind of apply that to the entire world. Like, hey, my dad was there for me, so I mean, I should be there for Drayton. And like, I'm just surprised that Barbara doesn't see it that way as well, because her dad was the one who raised her. So I'm surprised that she's like, Drayton doesn't need his dad. You know what I mean? When it was like, her dad was there for her, and the same stuff that her dad has done for Barbara, I'm willing to do for our son. But again, it's complicated because she makes me want to. No. She doesn't make me want to. She makes me have to need to jump through hoops in order to see my boy. Like I said, we don't have to go through courts. We can be friends right now who co-parent. 100%. Like, she's trying to like look for scapegoats and excuses of why we can't co-parent and stuff like that. But the truth is, we started co-parenting at the beginning of our breakup. After we broke up, like, Barbara and I, we co-parented for a while. And then after we co-parented for a while, she like started meeting some other guys. And after she met a few other guys, it just seems like she met somebody who was too jealous for us to be able to fucking co-parent together. You know what I mean? Like, somebody was like, okay, I don't want you talking with Darren while we're in a relationship. So Barbara started to be like, if you want to see your son, go see your dad. And then I'd go see my dad, and then after a while, my dad and I, we had a great relationship, right? We had a great relationship together, but then after a while, her, like, hit my dad's wife. Like, she just hated on me for, like, no fucking reason. Like, her and Barbara had this little sewing circle thing, right? It's where they just, like, build up hate against me and all that stuff. Again, that's complicated. But, like, we got to this point where it's like, I'm not allowed to go visit my dad because of his wife hating on me, which is, again, complicated from her perspective. I mean, like, Barbara was the one who hated my dad's wife, and now they're like buddy-buddy, or they were buddy-buddy. I don't know if they're buddy-buddy now, but, like, Barbara was the one who hated Wendy, and now they're like buds after our breakup kind of thing, which is, I mean, women are complicated, right? So it's like, but like, what really gets me from that is like, I can't visit my son through my dad because of Wendy, and I can't visit my son through Barbara because of Barbara. And it's all their choices. It's all their complicated ass choice to choose to either hate me or put up with me or not. You know what I mean? So it's like, they choose to hate. You know what I mean? That's complicated, right? That's fucking complicated. But like, we can all be friends right now. We can all be super peaceful and everything would work out. But like, I'm not trying to figure them out. I figured this out about Barbara, but I'm not figuring her out. I figured out that she cannot co-parent. Like, her mother damaged her too much or something like that. I'm not too sure what it is. I'm not too sure who to blame. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to us, we were co-parenting after our breakup. And then one day she's just cut me out of Drayton's life altogether. So it's just like, you know what I mean? It's her choice to cut me out of my son's life. And then what really triggered this, though, was that the baby mother that I do co-parent with, we were talking about it yesterday. And she was like, oh, you could have seen your son at any time. It's like, no, I couldn't. For the last, the entirety of my son's life, I've been trying to see my son as much as possible. I've been asking Barbara 3 times per month last year is basically what I asked Barbara. You know what I mean? Like, can I see my son? Can I see my son? Can I see my son? You know what I mean? And like, the fucked up thing about that is that, like, again, women are complicated, right? If you ask to see your son, apparently they call you stalker, which is totally fucked up. That's not stalking. That's a father trying to see his son. You know what I mean? That's all I've been trying to do for like the whole Barbara and I situation. I don't know where she lives. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I have an idea where she lives because that's where we lived together. We lived together at that apartment where she lived before, and that's where we fucked. We had all that. After we had Drayton together and all that stuff, like, I have an idea that maybe she still lives there, but ultimately, like, I don't know what the fuck she's doing with her life. I know that she barred me from the Lord so that I can stop asking for my son and stuff like that. Like, I know that she's cutting all ties out of me being able to see my son, and that's her own complicated choice. But, like, again, okay, my main point, though, is, like, Roxanne was saying that like, oh, you choose not to see your son. You choose not to see your son, and I was like, I fucking choose to see my son every week. I would take my son today, right? Like, and what made me think about this though is like, she's like, oh, you could have went through lawyers and all that stuff. It's like, no, that shit costs money. I need the money to do that stuff. I would have done it already if I did. She's like, oh, you could go through legal aid and get it for free. No, you can't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who can. If you can go through a lawyer with legal aid and actually see your entire fucking family, because like some legal aid lawyer will actually like take your family court case, do it. But like, I cannot find a fucking family lawyer for the life of me who will take a fucking legal aid kind of fucking application and be like, okay, you can see your baby. But like, family law is like one of the most expensive, law styles there is, as far as that goes, if that makes sense. But it's like I fucking want to see my son. I want to raise my son, and it's like, and all I can think about is like how complicated women are, because like Roxanne just kept like bitching me out about it yesterday, and I'm just like, I told you, I tried. It costs $3,000 per baby. It costs $3,000 per baby in order for me to see my son. It costs $3,000 per baby in order for me to see Cameron. That's how much it costs. The only one that co-parents is Roxanne, because she's actually capable of doing that. And again, that's complicated. That's all related to her mom and dad still being together and all that stuff. While Darian's hate is all like from her dad raping her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Darian's dad raped her. So I mean, she like reflects some kind of fucked up hatred on that. Unless she lied to me about that, which makes her even more fucked in the head. Which also, I mean, again, that makes her complicated. But it's like, and then like the whole Barbara situation, because her mother abandoned her, she has to reflect that shit onto me. But okay, I just wanted to vent. I mostly just wanted to vent. That's what this video is about. But like, ultimately, the one thing I want you to take away from this fucking video, if you learn anything at all, is that like, don't ever try to fucking figure out women, because it'll fuck your head up, man. It'll fuck your head up for real. Like, do not try to figure out women. It'll like screw with your mind. Like the women that I want to marry, oh, my food's ready. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to marry Barbara and raise Drayton with Barbara. I want to marry Roxanne and raise Lovey with Roxanne. I want to marry Darian and raise Cam with Darian. That's all I wanted, because they were the ones who asked me. And then I guess we had like a couple of bad nights or something like that. And like one, I caught Darian cheating, so she framed me because I caught her cheating while we were engaged. And like, Roxanne was like, I cheated on you 3 times. Just kidding. I didn't cheat on you 3 times, which totally fucked the relationship up anyway. And then Barbara was just like making room for somebody else or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, we had like one argument. I took my TV. I shouldn't have taken my TV. I should have just left my TV there so that I can, kind of get back in the door and be like, okay, let's make up. But like, ultimately she was making room for somebody else. And that's like, it's super frustrating that like, that happens like universally. Just opening the oven there. I'm gonna stick my head inside of it right away. I'm just joking. But like, ultimately those like the women that asked me for our babies, like Barbara asked me for Drayton. We had a miscarriage at first, and then we had Drayton. Roxanne asked me for Lovey. We had Lovey right off the hop. She pushed Lovey out in like 5 pushes. Bam! And, easier said than done. There's epidural. That took like a half hour. Stuff like that. And then there's that whole like Darian Chief situation where it's like, she asked me for Cameron. She asked me to marry her. All that stuff, right? Like, she asked me for all of that, but she was like fucking using me, manipulating me, and all that stuff the entire time. For example, when we had Cameron, she told me that she had a miscarriage, and then when she was mad at me, she told me that she aborted Cameron, and then she had Cameron anyway. And then 5 months into Cameron's life, she was like, you should have been there to cut the umbilical cord, you bastard. It's like, I thought Cameron was dead, I'm sorry. She was, you know what I mean? Like somehow they all made me the victim, and at the same time, nobody here is the victim except for our babies. Like, I hope they understand that. Like, I'm not playing victim. I'm venting, and like, I'm over it already just from venting. Just in this video right now, I'm already over the fact that Roxanne was just bitching me out about like me not being able to see my son. It's like, I want to see my son. I've been trying to see my son. Everybody in the fucking Selkirk here hears Barbara's side, and they think that I don't want my babies, which is totally fucked up because I want my babies. I made Drayton with a purpose. He's my little hockey player. He's my little UFC fighter. He's my little doctor. You know what I mean? But anyways, thank you for letting me vent. That's all this is. I'm going to enjoy my pizza now. Everybody else, you have a great day. Again, thank you for listening. Cheers and respect.